So at that time, we were totally broke, and my wife was suffering from cancer. It was very, very advanced, and we were like desperate. And then from the Black community comes this invitation, can you paint with our kids? I said, oh my God, yes, thank you. So I began to paint 2 murals. One is called, that one right there. Can I look that one?
Yes, please.
Okay, this one that you saw was 12 feet wide by 8 feet tall inside a community center. And recently, a few years ago, went by and saw it again. It was still there, right? And we did another one outdoors that's still there also. But I was assigned 17 kids. Was a little too much, right, to do such small murals. But what I did is I had them draw on pieces of plywood on the side, the ones that could not paint on the main mural. And of course, all the imagery that we painted, for example, the personalities in the mural were actual historical figures. Like that lady is Rosa Parks. And she's telling the young man, this is you, not what racism has imposed on you. And the little boy behind there is a little kid from CUNY Homes named John Broussard, because everybody wanted to be in the painting, right? But these are all boys, and there was not enough room for so many kids. So I have Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, and a number of other heroes that are almost celebrating with their smiles the moment that this young man discovers his human dignity and his human beauty. So that took about 8 months to complete, along with another one outdoors that was entitled We Must Never Forget. Now, at first I have to tell you that when I went into that community center at CUNY Homes, I was feeling really that I didn't deserve to be there, right? Because I didn't know the Black experience. All I knew was my own experience. And of course, I read and was very conscious of what was happening in the Black community. So I was a little shy when they asked me to explain my drawings, because I took my drawings to the housing organizations there in the Houston Housing Authority. But anyway, I explained the large sketch that I had done, and they really were pleased. In fact, somebody said, how can you explain you not being Black? How can you do this design that so well expresses the Black experience? And so I've been so proud of that mural for all these years, right? And I've done other statements, portraits of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and other such personalities in all my murals across 40 years of painting. Can I just tell them one more little thing? This is the method that I use when I paint with young persons. I don't always want to do a fun mural, right? I'm sorry?
Speak in the mic.
Okay. I don't always tell kids, you want to do a fun mural, a funny mural, or something real frivolous, because this is the only time I'm going to have with you, and what I want to do is ask you to think about yourself. How is your life going? What's happening to you? The example that I want to tell you about is at the correctional facility in Greeley called Platte Valley Youth Services Center, where myself and 2 of my students at UNC did 2 murals. And so what I did with the kids, initially we had 30 kids, but about 15 dropped out and 15 stayed. Those that stayed, I said, I want you to draw. You can tell me also, but imagine what you're going to tell me and put it in pictures, right? So all these kids drew what had gotten them into jail in the first place, right? And some of that was kind of hard to take, because it was they seemed so hopeless in telling you. Like one kid told me, well, I used to go to Mexico with my father for years since I was a little boy, bringing drugs back, and they finally caught him, and he's doing life in prison. And when I get out of here, I'm going to pull a big job. Either I die or I'll succeed. Those were some of the attitudes of some of those young kids. In the age level of those kids at that correctional facility were 10 years old to 20 years old. So you see the little bitty kids marching down the hall with the older ones. And so what we did with all the drawings that the young men drew is did paintings of what they had experienced and gotten into trouble, and then placed it along the base of this 16-foot by 16-foot panel as a junkyard of discarded, failed epochs of our lives, right? And from that junk pile arise this number of young people reaching outwards, right? And at the very top of the murals, I don't have that slide here, but there's positive symbols up on top of what young people can achieve and so on. But in the middle of that whole mural panel are three kids, a Chicano, an Anglo, and an African American, and their faces are like a big puzzle. You can see the lines all through there, but the kids are putting the last puzzle back together to complete the rehabilitation of their own lives. And so the kids call that transition, and when we dedicated the mural, there were parents of a lot of those kids that worked on the mural. And so that's kind of the approach that I take. I don't have a lot of time to paint John Wayne or things like that.
My name is Beth. I've been in Denver for over 40 years. And my husband and I both lived in West Harlem for a summer back in the 60s. That was our immersion into all the tension and strife and all that was going on back then. Martin Luther King, as we know, is the champion of nonviolence. Nonviolence in thinking, nonviolence in our actions. And I'm just thinking about all the recent violence, gun killings, and talk about needing more guns and guns in the schools and guns in public places. And I'm just wondering what's happened to all the talk of nonviolence. And anybody can answer, but my thinking is there still a place for the nonviolent movement? Does it still have power, or has the nonviolent movement failed us?
And also, what we do here is to not only the panel, but anyone in the audience is open to answer and respond, that sort of thing too, okay? Go ahead, Rachel, I'm sorry.
All I know is nonviolence. And I don't know, I don't think it failed. I know it didn't fail because I'm still alive. But I don't know what's going on today. It's a different take on things. So I don't know the answer to that question. I just know that nonviolence was not a failure.
I believe that nonviolence is a way of life that could be easily reached, but not through a government that wants peace but endorse wars. You see violence a lot. Violence is always, people think that a fist plus another fist will cause a solution, but it just causes more violence because there's no end when you see blood. When innocent blood is shed, there's no end. You see tragedy, you see tears. And that's what we know. That's what we've seen throughout the country. That's what brings us close. Even though we're separated, when we see tragedy, we come close. So I don't know about having nonviolence in our country if our country still seeks war in other countries.